Our recording is in progress. So I'm going to be putting some of these on YouTube. So on my YouTube channel, so that people can watch them who they may not be inside our group. So just so that you're aware. And I'm so excited to have all of you here. My name is Crystal Sayers. I am the owner of New Beginnings Health and Wellness, and I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, but I work with people over Zoom and in person. So anybody in the world, so which is really, really cool about, you know, in terms of what I get to do as a body talk practitioner. And yeah, so I'm just going to check and make sure that everything is good to go here on Facebook. And feel free just to say hello and let me know you're watching. And then any questions that you have about pain, aches and pains. What are our aches and pains trying to tell us? Isn't that such a good question? Because a lot of times we just think, oh, for example, I have a sore neck. You know, my neck is sore, and I can say, yes, okay, so there were some things that I was doing to irritate my neck. But at the same time, when it actually initially happened, I was dealing with something, and it related to me needing a new perspective. And it was on the left-hand side of my neck. And so knowing what I know now and how the body often will mirror things that are much deeper than just the physical aspects, the psychological and the emotional and the spiritual. And so it made me stop and think and go, okay, what's happening in my life right now? Because I woke up with this like weird kind of creak in my neck, and it was this twinge, and it was really, really quite painful. And it happened just before I was about to go into a coaching session. So I have a coach, and I was going into a coaching session, and I was about to address sort of some personal stuff around, you know, my own self-worth and my own views. And it was quite interesting because the left side of the neck often has to do well, the neck in general has to do with perspective, needing to maybe view things from a new perspective, or maybe even some areas where we've been rigid and it requires a little more flexibility. Sometimes issues with the neck can be that maybe we've been too flexible and we actually need to create more structure. So the spine is all about support. So it supports the body, and the neck is obviously supports the head as well. And so the turning of the head, the ability to view things from a different perspective. And the left-hand side, because my pain was on the left-hand side, what I noticed was that I had some emotional things from my past that I needed to address. And so that is being addressed. But at the same time today, after this, I'm going to the chiropractor because I know I need an adjustment. So lots of times, you know, we can be dealing with things on a physical level, but we also can become aware or create a new level of awareness of other things that may be going on in our lives. And we can actually resolve them a lot faster if we have this awareness. And this is really what this is about, because you can have a painful issue and just think, oh, well, I just need to stop this, or I just need to address this on a physical level. And you can resolve it and then go on for a period of time, and it might be resolved, and then something happens, and then it happened, and then the same issue comes up again. So when the same issues or physical pains are coming up again and again, it can often be an indicator, hey, you still haven't dealt with this. Right. So it offers an opportunity. Pain, actually, we can be grateful for pain, because pain gives us the ability to stop and go, what is happening in my life right now that may need some adjustments? Is there a belief system that needs to be changed? Is there an emotional issue that needs to be resolved? Am I holding on to anger maybe that I need to let go of? So many times, you know, once we resolve whatever that issue is, then the pain will often stop. And I know, like, this is not, we're not treating, we're not diagnosing issues or anything like this. This is just about helping you to become more aware of the messages from your body. Hi, Melissa. Great to see you on here. Nice to see you today. Anybody else who you're just hopping on, feel free just to say hello. And I'm just going to check one handy little thing here. Okay, so we're good that way. All right, so I'm just going to give everybody just a moment. Ask away. So ask your questions. If you're on Facebook, there is a bit of a lag. That's okay. And we'll just carry on. I do want to share this really quickly. I did a body talk session this morning with somebody, and initially we were going to do it this afternoon, but they said they might have to go to a merge because their migraine was so bad, and it was a 9 out of 10. Now that's pretty severe for migraines, and having to go to a merge is not fun because you often end up sitting there for a really long time. Anyway, we were in touch this morning, and I said, I have some time, let's do a session this morning. And so we immediately started with the fast aid session. A fast aid body talk session is to focus specifically on the pain in that specific part of the body, which for this person was the migraine, and it was in this worse in the sinus area as well. And we addressed that, and within a short time we were able to get them from a 9 out of 10 down to a 5 or a 6 out of 10. And then we were able to proceed with a full body talk session, and then the pain came down to a 4 as well. And so I expect over a period of time now that things will continue to start decreasing, but this is how quickly we can oftentimes resolve pain and inflammation. And I've seen this over and over and over again with clients. Sometimes it doesn't work. I understand. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It's that there's something else going on maybe in the body that also needs to be addressed, and it's very, very acute pain. However, I have had many clients, and many times when I have had people 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 levels of pain, and we do a session and their pain comes down, and we're dealing with things on a physical level, but with body talk we also are dealing with the psychological, emotional, and the spiritual side of things as well. So the great thing about it is that, the body knows exactly what is needed in order to unwind, sort of however it's been wound up. It knows actually what it needs in order to get back to optimal health. And so this is the great thing about, these little Wednesday morning sessions is, you can ask your questions and we can get some clues as to not only are we dealing with maybe you're dealing with the physical side of things, but then some clues to start unwinding some of the psychological, the emotional side of things as well. So yes. Okay, so any questions out there? I know somebody said they were hopping on and they have a question, so feel free just to pop that on, and I'll just keep an eye on the chat. Okay, here we go. So Melissa says, why do people get heartburn, severe reflux with nausea? This is really common, actually. There could be several reasons as to why, and for each person it may be different. This is what you have to understand. Oftentimes we go into a doctor's office and you experience certain symptoms, and the prescription for that is this, or this, right? And the reality is that even if somebody experiences the same symptoms, the reasons for why they may be experiencing those symptoms could be very, very different, right? In so many ways. So the thing that I want to say about this, first of all, is that issues related to acid reflux could be that, this person may be struggling with the ability to really accept life and to digest and process what is actually happening in their life right now. It could be a specific situation, it could be a relationship, or it could just be life in general. So if we think about we take in food, we eat the food, it goes down into the stomach sort of starts, the saliva helps to break it up. And then sometimes you have this little flap, right? So there's the physiology of the body, and the flap can open, and then you have this acid coming back up. And sorry, I'm just going to admit somebody here. Okay. And so what can happen is we can have, a difficult time with taking in life or stomaching whatever may be happening right now. So this is a really great question for people who have, especially if you have ongoing acid reflux. Are there specific things that you are having a really difficult time stomaching right now? Taking in and receiving. So people who have nausea, and vomiting, things like that, they're struggling, actually, like the body wants to bring it back up again. It doesn't want to receive whatever may be happening right there. Another thing that could be happening with acid reflux, so there's so many, but I'll just say this. So acid reflux, heartburn, nausea. So you're dealing with this whole area here is relates to the throat chakra, and the chakras, for those who are not aware, are just simply their major energy centers, or like transformer stations that step down energy into cellular, nerve, and hormonal energy, so the body can actually use it. It's related to our spirituality. It's related to our emotional well-being. It can have huge effects. So let's just say that you could be experiencing heartburn, for example, or this acid reflux, and it could be that you're having difficulty around areas of communication, because communication is within this area here. The other thing is this is our part of our self-expression. So are we having a hard time expressing ourselves, or is there something we're having a hard time saying? So there's a whole aspect around communication, self-expression, and this is also, we give. So maybe there's some issues related to giving. Maybe we're giving too much, so it could be many different things like that. Also the heartburn, we're talking about the heart, right? We're dealing with the heart. And sometimes what can happen is, on an emotional or psychological level, is there is an imbalance in our life. And so the heart, or the heart chakra, its function is to bring balance and harmony. And it also relates to self-love. So our ability to love ourselves, it has to do with our ability to have compassion for ourselves and for other people. It's also another place that we give from, right? We give from the heart. And so, so my question would be, again, I'm giving you some ideas because it could, you could be watching this and it could be like, okay, it's this and this, but somebody else could be watching it and go, oh, okay, I didn't realize that this and this and this is happening. And they may be experiencing the same symptoms, but the issue, the deeper issue, or the message from the body could be totally different. So the other thing that, could be happening is fear. So I'm just going to quickly just have a quick look at this other little thing. This is a really great book, by the way. It's called Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. She was an amazing woman. And anyway, her ideas related to heartburn, peptic ulcers, stomach problems, ulcers, anything like that, or acid reflux, fear. And she says clutching fear. And I'll just take a look here and see if there's an acid reflux one. No. So it could relate to fear. And in this book, actually, it's really cool because her whole thing is like how the messages from the body, understanding the messages from the body, but then repatterning our belief systems, right? Changing our belief systems. And so in this book, she has a little affirmation, and you can come up with your own. But the affirmation related to the heartburn, acid reflux, that type of thing, or stomach issues is this: I breathe freely and fully. I am safe. I trust the process of life. So I breathe freely and fully. I am safe, and I trust the process of life. So that's just a little something that you could say as an affirmation, and heartburn and acid reflux, these types of things, is so extremely common. And I mean, it could be relating to our gallbladder and many other different parts of our digestive system as well. But that's just to give you a little idea. So hopefully, Melissa, that helps a little bit. And anybody else out there suffering with this, one thing I will say that is kind of a home remedy. I was just talking with somebody about this, and is apple cider vinegar. So I know a lot of times we want to take Tums because the Tums kind of can help settle, but actually it decreases the acidity in the stomach. And part of the problem with the acidity in the stomach when we're experiencing heartburn after eating is that there's not enough acid. So it sounds very much counterintuitive, but really we want to increase the acidity in the stomach so it can break stuff down. And you can do more research on that, but it's interesting. So there are all kinds of little remedies just related to apple cider vinegar, and little concoctions you can make that to make it sort of taste better and go down easier. But if you do that during your meals, then that can be really helpful as well. So just a little tidbit there. Apple cider vinegar helps to increase the acidity in the stomach and helps to break stuff down, actually. So that would be probably better than taking Tums or something like that, where it actually decreases the acidity. So thank you for asking that question. Okay, anybody else have a question? Mr. Daniel Sayers has a question. All right, feel free.
Sore shoulders.
Okay, so sore shoulders. What are the sore shoulders about? That is a really great question. Thank you for asking. Daniel is also my husband. And okay, so I'm just going to go back here to this view. So thank you so much for asking. Yeah, sore shoulders. The shoulder area in general relates to our responsibilities in life, the burdens of life, right? So if we think about what are you carrying right now, in your life or in the past when you've experienced shoulder pain. Also, it has to do with heart protection. So this whole shoulder area, rib cage area, relates to protection. And it also relates to heart protection and also strength. So if there's any areas maybe where you're feeling like, I don't know if I have the strength to be able to do this, sometimes we can experience pain there. Or maybe all of your responsibilities are just too heavy and they're really weighing on you. So shoulder pain is very, very common. And yeah, so definitely something that, that you can think about is relates to, am I feeling overwhelmed by my responsibilities, or are there some things in life that really feel like a burden right now? So that's a great question. I'm just going to have a little look here in this book because this one's so good too. So I'll just see if there's anything else to add. Shoulders. So yeah, so the shoulders, Louise Hay's book says as well, the shoulders represent our ability to carry our experiences in life joyously. We make life a burden by our attitude. So again, perceptions and belief systems can have a huge impact on the biology of our body. And so here's a great affirmation to share. I choose to allow all my experiences to be joyous and loving. I choose to allow all of my experiences to be joyous and loving. So that's just one example. I don't know if anybody else, thank you so much for that question. If anybody else has a question, that would be most welcome. You are welcome to share that. And let's see what else. Okay. Any other questions? I'm just going to go back to sort of this whole sort of throat area here. The part of the thing with the I'm having a hard time tongue-tied today. The throat chakra is related to, also very closely related to the endocrine system. All of the chakras are, and it relates to our thyroid, right? So the thyroid is responsible for our metabolism, for energy, for, oh, what else? Give me 1 second here. I will tell you, just to give you a little bit of an idea, because these could be other things that may need to be addressed as well. So again, more messages from the body. So the thyroid, like I said, has to do with communication or self-expression, activity, metabolism. It has to do with our energy. It also can relate to feeling choked by life or feeling like we're suffocating. So just think about sort of what may be going on there as well. So yeah, so good stuff. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free just to pop those in the chat if you do. And if not, we're going to talk about something else today. What else? Okay, so I'm just checking the chat, and we'll see what else is happening here. Okay, so another thing actually that I wanted to talk about today, excuse me, is we're going to talk a little bit about the limbic brain. So the limbic brain, so especially this really has to do with our emotional processing center. And a lot of times, you know, we're in sort of this fight, flight, freeze mode, right? Which is actually stress mode. So when we're in a place of stress, and especially if it's ongoing stress, so there's acute stress where it's kind of like happening in the moment and then it passes, and then, you know, and then everything is fine. But there's also chronic stress, which is, you know, which basically would be something like, for example, COVID would be a prime example of, you know, ongoing chronic stress. And there's a different part of the brain that manages that. It's called the BNST. It's a very long word. It's an acronym for a very long word in the brain. But I just want to say this about stress. Stress, any type of stress that we experience, whether it be physical, whether it be psychological, emotional, spiritual, any type of stress, and you know, where maybe our environment could be, you know, part of the cause of our stress. What happens is the body's ability to rest and digest, so even our digestion, is affected by stress. Because what happens is, when, let's just say, you're being chased by a bear, the body is not going to be thinking about, hey, I need to digest the meal that was just eaten. No, it's going to move to survival mode. So then you have the adrenaline happening. You have this whole sort of connection going on with the nervous system and the brain and the endocrine system, and adrenaline and all these other types of hormones being released so you can survive and get away from the bear. Once the bear situation is over and that situation has passed, the body's response is supposed to go back into rest and digest because the emergency is over. And what has happened, and within our society these days, there is still a lot of stress, right? Electronics, we have so many things that cause interruptions within the circuitry of the body, including electronics. But stress is the number one reason for illness and disease. And so so many different things come out of that. And so it's so important for us to recognize what is actually going on, right? Is understanding and creating an awareness of what is actually happening in my body. And so a lot of times we are very much unaware. And so I just want to really encourage us, you know, that as even as you go throughout this day, or, you know, at some point this week, can you just take a little bit of time for yourself and go, okay, is there an area where I am actually feeling stressed? Am I feeling or experiencing tension within my body? And what part of the body is that tension happening? And what could my body be wanting to say to me through this pain? And a lot of times it could be slow down, or it could be, hey, you're too isolated and you need to go socialize and have some fun. So it could be so many different things, but our body is always trying to speak to us. And when we're in stress mode, we really can't heal the way that the body is meant to heal. And so the resting piece is so important. Resting is not always just about doing nothing. Resting is oftentimes can mean you can still be doing things, but you're coming at it from a place of peace and rest. And so what is one thing that you could do to allow your body to move from a state of stress and survival and the fight flight response into a place of rest and digest, right? So if you have, for example, digestive issues, which many people in our society nowadays have a lot of digestive issues, and part of this could be relating to this, that the digestive system is not able to rest enough. And so what is something you could do? There are some physical things that you could do. There's also a technique called the cortices technique, which I have another video for. I will post the link in here. And that technique is so powerful. It's even brought people out of comas. It can help us stay out of shock. It calms the nervous system down. So I'm going to post the video for that, because that's one thing you can do. It takes 2 minutes a day. And all we're doing is we're resynchronizing the communication within the brain, which enhances the communication within the body, and it puts the body in parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. So that's what we want for healing mode. So if you're struggling with sleep, for example, that's another thing that you could do. You could do the cortices technique even before you go to sleep. If you're struggling to kind of wake up, in the morning from work, getting ready, going to work, that type of thing, you can do this technique and it will actually help revitalize your energy. So it is very, very powerful, super simple, and I will post the link there. So that's one thing that you can do. Other things like meditations and, going for walks and things that kind of help us to reconnect with ourselves, reconnecting with nature can be incredibly powerful in bringing down the stress response and the inflammation response. So we have to understand that you can have a stressful situation, and what can happen is you can get an inflammatory response in the body because of the stressful situation, or you can have an inflammatory response and that causes a stress response as well, right? So there's different things that can happen. And so once we get one of those things in order, if we can bring down the stress level, it will actually help to decrease inflammation within the body. There's so many things. Anyway, if you are ever interested in chatting some more, feel free to contact me. Feel free to reach out. If you have questions about other areas within the body that you are experiencing pain, or maybe a friend or something like that, you can definitely reach out to me and I will answer your questions. I will see you next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. There we go. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to post these up on YouTube as well, so you're welcome to share them with people outside of our group. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye for now.